as a financial advisor for over 20 years, one of my guiding tenets is you be you. And what makes sense for you to spend your money on and what brings you joy and value in your life might be very different than what brings joy and value in another family's life. So I never come from a place of judgment. I come from a place of knowledge and understanding and helping families make the right decisions and the right trade-offs for them. That said, I need to sound an alarm, and that is America's love affair with expensive cars and new cars is jeopardizing many people's financial futures. And today I'm going to share with you what the average car payment is by age, and I think the numbers are really going to be startling. But let me preface this whole video by saying that over 1 in 6 Americans that are getting a car loan today are signing up for a car payment of over $1,000 a month. And, you know, sometimes that can make sense. Like if you're paying off a new car in 2 years or 3 years, okay, having a big car payment probably makes sense. You're paying off that loan sooner. But you know what? The numbers don't show that. It's, in fact, 2/3 of these loans for over $1,000 a month, 2/3 of them are going out for 67 to 84 months. That is 5 to 7 years. That's a long, long time to have a $1,000 car payment. And only 15% of those are being paid off within 48 months, right? So that's a big car payment for a long time. Okay, let me get up here. Let's go for a walk and let's talk about this. Okay, so our car loans are the second biggest source of debt for Americans. And I should say it's tied for second. Our first source of debt, of course, is our mortgages. I think most of us would guess that. But the second source of debt is they're tied at about 10%. Your student loans or new car payments. And you know what? That's for your car payment to be as much as you spent on educating yourself in college, that's a huge, huge expense. And, you know, you just have to ask yourself, you know, what's the alternative? You know, and an alternative is if you look at what the average car payment is. Now, the average car payment in the United States, I'm going to talk about by age group here in a few minutes, but the average car payment in the United States is $733. Now, that's a big car payment, and that's the average. And the average used car payment is $500 a month. That's for people that are choosing to buy a used car. And, you know, you can buy, I think it's one of the easiest trade-offs for people to make and not feel sacrificial, is to drive a used car. You know, if you buy a car that's 3 or 4 years old, you know, it's still going to be a pretty big payment. But if you drive a car that's 6 or 7 years old, that's been maintained well, and I know it's getting harder to do this every year, but a lot of times you can actually pay cash depending on your situation for that car, or have a very reasonable car loan. So, you know, I'll just start off there. I've shared it on this channel many times before, but I do think it's one of the least sacrificial ways for people to be able to save more money. When you look at the average salary in the United States is right at $50,000 a year. So for folks to have $1,000 a month car payment, that's a lot of money. And, you know, you would think that, you know, the people making $50,000, you know, choose not to have that kind of car payment. But unfortunately, the car dealerships, you know, they're very skilled at what they do, the people selling you these cars, and they make a nice profit when you agree to the payment. And so they make it harder for you to make the right decision for your future self, right? And I say right decision, again, I don't mean to be judgmental, but if you do have a $12,000 a year car payment, $1,000 a month, and you're making $50,000 a year, that's a huge, huge percentage of your income. And you do you. But just think about what your best alternative to that is. Could you buy a nice used car for half of that car payment? I think many people could. Okay, I'm gonna keep walking here. Okay, so we talked about the used car payments. Can you see the train? Yeah, there's the train right behind me, which is one of the reasons I'm walking uphill to get out of the noise shadow from that. But you know, what's causing these big car payments? You know, the price of cars is up $7,000 for a new car. The average new car is just under $50,000 now, and that's up $7,000 in the last 2 years. And so, you know, that's a big price increase. And at the same time, interest rates have just skyrocketed. So, you know, the combination of the higher total cost that you're financing and the higher financing costs is one of the things that's driving it. And then to make all the numbers work, if you will, you know, the term, how long your loan is for, is increasing as well. So, you know, if you think about trying to save 10%, which I think and I know it's hard to do in today's world, but try to save 10%. It's a good place to start. And unfortunately, I do mean it's a good place to start, because it's not enough to just save 10%. If that's what you can do, then you do you and you do the best you can. But if you can save more than that, your future self is going to help you. Okay, now let's talk about what the average car loan is for people that have car loans. So this does not include people that do not have car loans. But Gen Z, which are people 18 to 26, they're at 18 to 26, so they're just getting started in their life. Their average car loan is $429. For millennials, and I used to think as millennials as pretty young, I used to think of myself as pretty young too, but millennials are now in the 27 to 42 age group. And their average car loan is $550. So that's increasing quite a bit as well. But that's not where it peaks out. Generation X, which is 43 to 58, which is almost me, their average car loan, that's where it peaks out, is $637. And so those are folks in the peak of their earning years, you know, but I would argue in the peak of your earning years is when you should really be trying to pay down your debt and save up and stockpile as much as you can. So boy, those are yours if you can drive a used car, if you can avoid a car payment or have a small car payment, it can really make a difference for you. Okay, baby boomers, and in another 6 years, all the baby boomers are going to be 65 or older. Baby boomers, their average car payment is $570. And then believe it or not, the silent generation, people that are 77 to 95, the folks that have a car loan that are in that age group, their average car loan is almost $500. It's $470. So that's a pretty sizable amount as well. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, I know you're going to enjoy this video up here that talks about average retiree income, and this video down here that talks about 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can.